Joining us today is Enro Mendoza, VP of Strategy and Business Transformation of Rampver Financials, a financial advisor and investment firm in the Philippines, one of the largest non-bank mutual fund distributors in the country, managing assets worth over 18 billion pesos. Good to see you, Enro. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me, Kathy.
All right, so what do you make of market sentiment there with the hearings going on and the anomalous flood control projects and a budget that I would say is now held hostage for 2026 because of what's going on?
Yeah, a lot of big news, especially in the Philippines. And as we all know, the Philippine market is highly sentiment driven. So especially with all of these government news, all of these clamor for governance, good governance, budgets, it's very important that it reflects to the capital markets as well. And since it's sentiment driven, we get a mixed bag. Sometimes companies share high earnings, good dividend rates. However, it doesn't really reflect in the share prices. So here in the Philippines, we're also a market that needs more investors. We need more volume in our markets.
Right. When I look at the markets, it's been a 4-week losing streak. We've gone that long. The market sentiment's just weak. A lot of confidence is lost. What is the market looking for? What sort of a catalyst is it wanting to have?
Yeah, so for our clients, these are questions and these are things that they always bring up, like, what do I need to look out for? Are there other options for me? And luckily, our local players have opened options for Philippine investors. With your Philippine peso, they can now invest globally as well. So as much as us financial players, we want to infuse more capital in our Philippine markets, we're now also starting to advise our clients to diversify globally.
When you're saying clients, that's presumably the Gen Zs and the millennials of the 60,000 in your clientele list?
Yeah, a lot of them are, especially during the pandemic when Rampver Financials really wanted to reach out to new markets. We became active on social media, on YouTube, really trying to educate the next generation of investors. We got a lot of interest and opening of accounts for our online platform.
So this is the first time they're actually feeling the pinch. I mean, it's not easy going. I mean, the stock market they did invest in, but this probably is the biggest challenge. Given that, when you look at the fundamentals, and I wanted to pull this up, the fundamentals are looking pretty good at 10.6x. When you compare that with a 5-year historical average of 17.3x and the regional average of 17.6x. So it's a matter of really convincing them that the fundamentals are intact.
Yes.
But how do you do that, given that they don't really have the experience of being hurt, if you will?
Yeah, I think to put it in another angle, this is putting them at an advantage. That if they start investing now, if they're in it for the long term, they're trying to address and achieve their long-term goals, like possibly buying their first home, having a good retirement, now is actually a good time to invest because they weren't burned from those dips in the market. I mean, we saw most recently from the pandemic crash, losing 30%, 40%. We're now climbing back from that. And when we look at the market's all-time high back in around 2017, 2018, that's the potential of the Philippine market. So we just need to be patient, trust the process, and make sure that, we're investing in good companies. A while ago, I heard from our guest, also investing in companies with good governance, people in the management helm, making sure that, the companies stay relevant for years and decades to come.
Well, picking up on what you said earlier, that it's really the overseas markets that appear to be more attractive for now. Just connecting the dots between 2017 and now, it seems that the pathway is globally, invest globally. Is that correct? And if so, how do you actually diversify? What are you teaching your clients?
Yeah, that's a good point. Now that there are options locally, investing globally is really a good option for our clients because, yes, the Philippine market, there's a lot of potential in it. Right now, we're still waiting for markets to grow and reach that all-time high, but diversifying globally is now an option. We look at markets that have high potential for new technologies like AI, global tech, possibly even consumer, spending abroad is really high right now. So in terms of investing globally, we have our partners like ATR Asset Management, Sun Life Asset Management, and through our online platform, Rampver Online, which you can visit at rampver.com/enro, we have high potential growth in those markets. So just to mention some of the funds that are doing well,
Well, let's take
year
a
to
look
date.
at that chart because it's interesting when you consider that the markets have been down. PSEI has been down
Yeah.
about 5%. You're looking at returns here north of 9%, even double digit.
Yeah.
I'm looking at. How are they invested then? How are they making money in this kind of an environment? Considering that if you go globally, you're going to be more exposed to the tariff uncertainties of Trump.
Yeah, that's right. And I think the balancing act is really the efficient markets that they have globally. Because in the Philippine market, we lack the volume, we lack the liquidity, and it's not an efficient market. So in a way, fund managers would have not necessarily an easy time, but an easier time than in the global markets to outpace the rate of the PSEI. However, in the global markets, it's a highly efficient market. Um, yes, they are affected, but it would be harder for a fund manager to outpace the rate of their indexes, like the S&P 500. So
What sort of time frame are you looking at for them to come back to the Philippine markets? Do you see that in the medium or maybe short term?
yeah, right now we're still highly optimistic that the recovery year, the recovery phase of the Philippine market will come, but as I always tell my clients, we can't really promise when that is, but the signs are there, the companies, the earnings are there. We need to stay patient, but in the meantime, we can diversify for the medium-term and long-term goals that they have.
Right, that's sound advice. Stay patient and diversify. Well, thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Thank you very
Enro
much, Ms. Kathy.
Mendoza of Rampver Financials.